The year's not even halfway through yet, and already we've seen some surprisingly big hits in the world of cinema. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was far better than it had any right to be. The recent Scream follow-up reinvigorated a tired franchise. After countless delays, The Batman was finally released, receiving universal acclaim. Morbius also came out, but nobody noticed, and with the Doctor Strange sequel just hitting theatres, it looks like all the biggest movies have already come out. But this could not be further from the truth. The way things are looking, 2022 is shaping up to have quite the variety of great films. So with that in mind then, I'm Ellie with What Culture here with 10 most highly anticipated movies still to come in 2022. Number 10, Black Adam. Things aren't ideal for the DC Extended Universe right now, with movies being delayed and outright cancelled, actors walking away from projects, and stars like Ezra Miller and Amber Heard topics of controversy. The way things are going, it seems like the DCEU may be on its last legs. But if anything can set it right, it's Black Adam. Even though Shazam! Fury of the Gods will also be released in 2022, a film revolving around Shazam's arch nemesis has way more potential. With franchise Viagra himself Dwayne Johnson playing one of DC's most underrated villains, Black Adam has a genuine chance at giving the DC cinematic universe a second wind. As an added bonus, the film will mark the DCEU's introduction of the first superhero team ever, the Justice Society, which includes fan favourites like Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher and Hawkman. It was also a wise move to tell the story from Adam's viewpoint rather than depicting him as a one-dimensional baddie. Watching him change from a champion to a superpowered dictator makes him more interesting to watch. And if Johnson knocks it out of the park, then maybe Black Adam will be integrated far more into the DCEU in the future. Number 9, ARGYLLE. Every year, moviegoers obsess over the latest entry into their favourite series, whether it be Harry Potter or Indiana Jones. But because of this, it is easy to forget about the brand new franchises, such as Matthew Vaughn's latest feature, ARGYLLE. Based on first-time author Ellie Conway's book of the same name, the story centres around a best-selling novelist who suffers from amnesia. When his memories return to him, he learns he's a legendary secret agent and so prepares to destroy the same organisation that trained him to kill. Even though the novel isn't out yet, Vaughn seems fully invested in the project. Not only does he envision ARGYLLE as the first entry in a trilogy, this spy thriller boasts the best cast of the year, since it stars Henry Cavill, Bryce Dallas Howard, Bryan Cranston, John Cena, Sam Rockwell, Catherine O'Hara and Samuel L. Jackson. ARGYLLE will serve as the acting debut of Dua Lipa, who also performs original music for the score. Because Vaughn successfully launched the Kingsman movies and the X-Men prequels, there is a high possibility that ARGYLLE could be the next big franchise that keeps people talking for years to come. Number 8, Top Gun: Maverick. In 2012, Tom Cruise and director Tony Scott had a meeting to discuss the sequel to Top Gun, the film which helped define their careers. 2 days later, sadly, Scott took his own life, which seemingly ended any chance of the follow-up seeing the light of day. But another decade later, and Top Gun: Maverick is becoming a reality. When you look back, there's a lot of reasons to love this classic film. It's one of the most 80s movie ever. Helped cement Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer's careers and has some of the most iconic lines of the decade. But since Top Gun is such a product of its time, you can't help wondering if a sequel would work in a modern world. The cheesy banter and Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone was awesome back in the day, but would feel dated and cringeworthy by today's standards. But based on early reactions, these concerns seem to be unwarranted. After a screening at CinemaCon, Top Gun: Maverick received overwhelmingly positive reviews, with critics regarding it as a perfect blockbuster. If these reactions are accurate, Top Gun: Maverick could well surpass the original. Number 7, ELVIS. Even though there are a horde of biopics about Elvis Presley out there, none of them really stand out because they all focus on the same tired tropes. So when another Elvis flick was announced this year, casual viewers didn't really think much of it. But this film, simply called Elvis, looks like it has a mountain of potential. Firstly, it will be directed by Australian auteur Baz Luhrmann. Although Baz hasn't made a film since 2013, his distinct directorial style, expeditious editing, and beautiful colour schemes are tailor-made for this kind of larger-than-life saga. Secondly, Austin Butler is so perfectly cast as the king of rock and roll, Elvis's ex-wife Priscilla Presley said he flawlessly emulated her husband's mannerisms, speech pattern, and dance moves. It's also reassuring to know that the film won't be relying on the tired rags to riches formula that most musical biopics are so fond of. Instead, it will be focusing on the relationship between Elvis and his manipulative manager, Colonel Tom Parker. Speaking of which, Tom, who serves as the story's villain, will be portrayed by Mr. Nice Guy himself, Tom Hanks. Because Hanks is often regarded as the most likeable guy in Hollywood, it'll be intriguing to see the two-time Oscar winner taking on an antagonistic role for a change. Number 6. Nope. In July 2021, horror visionary Jordan Peele announced his next film, Nope, on Instagram, with a poster that gave little indication of the premise. So when the trailer dropped, you'd assume we'd get some more answers, but in reality we were actually left with more questions. The trailer intrigues you immediately by pointing out how the first cinematic shot ever was a black man riding a horse. The main characters claim to be the only black horse trainers in Hollywood, implying Nope will focus on race or class division, much like Peele's previous work. Because there are multiple shots of a mysterious force in the sky, many people suspect the plot revolves around an alien invasion. Many viewers have hypothesized the title is an acronym of Not of Planet Earth. Another recurring element in the trailer is horses. Not only does the recent poster depict a stallion being sucked into the sky, there's also a shot of a child attempting to fist bump a bizarre creature, which some have suggested is a human-horse hybrid. But no matter what speculation we make, Nope is set to be crazier and more disturbing than anything we can imagine, thanks to Peele's talent at putting a fresh spin on the genre. Number 5. Lightyear. Because of how Toy Story 4 ended, it genuinely felt like the franchise that redefined animation was drawing to a close. With Woody leaving his friends, where else could the series really go? Well, there was only one answer. To infinity and beyond! Even though the studio could have easily churned out Toy Story 5, they subverted expectations by creating the spin-off Lightyear, which focuses on everyone's favourite spaceman. But this time around, the story won't focus on Buzz as an action figure, but as a real astronaut preparing for his first adventure into the cosmos. This is such a perfect way to rejuvenate the Toy Story story. You wonder why the House of Mouse haven't done it sooner. Even though Lightyear is sure to have a ton of hilarious moments and sensational action sequences, the trailer shows the story will emphasize humanizing the characters and their relationships with one another, as one would expect from Pixar. If Lightyear does well with critics and at the box office, which it probably will because it's Pixar, it could lead to a highly lucrative franchise. Not only that, it could inspire the creation of more spin-offs revolving around Woody and Jessie and the rest of the gang. Number 4. Avatar: The Way of Water. Even though the world was waiting for Titanic to tank at the box office, James Cameron's disaster epic became the most successful film ever. And just to show off, he knocked it out of the park a second time when Avatar banked an unprecedented $2.8 billion. After gestating for 12 years, a sequel was promised much sooner, but this was a big fat lie. After suffering a series of interruptions, Avatar: The Way of Water is to be released in 2022, supposedly, after a 13-year-long development. But because the sequel took so much longer than anyone expected, Avatar may not have the same hype or cultural relevance that it once did. But despite the fact The Way of Water may not leave the same impact as its predecessor, we'd be lying if we didn't say we weren't intrigued. As before, Cameron has promised never before seen special effects in this sequel, including motion capturing actors while underwater. Although details over the plot are scarce, it'll be interesting to revisit Pandora and see what else Cameron has cooked up this time round. Number 3. Thor: Love and Thunder. The first two Thor films were criticised for being too dull, and so for the third instalment, Marvel Studios decided to go in the complete opposite direction and make it a bonkers comedy. Now, this could have been a disaster, but Thor Ragnarok received universal acclaim and is often regarded as the funniest film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not only is it hilarious, but director Taika Waititi fully embraced the otherworldly zaniness of the comics and gave the film a more distinctive look and style. Now, if you loved the wacky comedy of the threequel, Waititi has promised that Thor: Love and Thunder will be even more insane. And considering the film contains flying goats, Zeus, and a god killer, it's clear the director isn't exaggerating. However, the one aspect that has most comic fans intrigued is the God of Thunder's love interest, Jane Foster, because Jane is destined to become the new Thor. Many are curious how this could reshape the MCU in the future. Is Chris Hemsworth's character going to pass the baton to Jane as the new Thor permanently? Is Thor going to die? Will Jane become the official Thor for the foreseeable future? Sadly, we'll just have to wait and see. Number 2. Killers of the Flower Moon. Killers of the Flower Moon centers around the FBI investigating several murders of Osage tribe members during the 1920s. Now, because the FBI had only recently been formed during this time, the Osage murders are considered to be the Bureau's first major case and help solidify it as an effective security agency. Now, as interesting as that chunk of history is, the film's biggest appeal is its director, Martin Scorsese. Like most Scorsese pictures, Killers of the Flower Moon boasts an amazing cast, including Leonardo DiCaprio, John Lithgow, Lily Gladstone, Brendan Fraser, Jesse Plemons, and Robert De Niro. Killers of the Flower Moon will also mark the 10th time Robert De Niro has worked with Martin Scorsese. Although De Niro, Scorsese, and DiCaprio have worked with each other regularly, this will be the first time all three of them will appear in the same feature. Considering this trio have created some of the greatest films ever, such as Goodfellas, Raging Bull, The Wolf of Wall Street, and The Aviator, one can only imagine how epic Killers of the Flower Moon will turn out to be. Number 1. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. A lot of big movies in 2022 are shrouded in mystery. Nope is a complete enigma. Everything about Avatar 2 is hush hush, and the trailer for Thor: Love and Thunder was released so recently that people are still analysing it to try to piece together the plot. And while Marvel fans are holding their breath in anticipation to watch Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, next to nothing is known about it. Now, due to the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman, nobody knows how this will be worked into the story. Will T'Challa's sister Shuri become the next Black Panther, or M'Baku, Okoye, Killmonger? Who knows? We also don't know who the main villain will be. Now, there's been some speculation that Namor the Submariner and or Doctor Doom will be the big bad, but nothing has been confirmed. In fact, the only thing we do know is that it will debut Riri Williams, who will become Iron Man's successor, Ironheart. The only other thing we know about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever for certain is this. Whatever direction it takes, it is sure to be a heart-wrenching epic that honours the legacy of the late Chadwick Boseman. And that concludes our list. If you think we missed any, then do let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also, head over to Twitter and follow us there. And I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with What Culture. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon.